Oh, wow. Good.
Can we share that link on like Facebook?
It's just the usual one. It's just the same link. It's on our YouTube channel.
Okay, so if I go to
Country Bible Church.
Country Bible Church Facebook and just share that.
No, it's not the Facebook. It's the YouTube.
No, but if I went to share that, say watch
It's going right now. If you go on YouTube, you can share the link.
Yeah. Copy the link.
Yeah, and I can log into Country Bible Churches and share it there. That's what I was saying.
Was it started?
Yeah, it's live.
So you just need to share your screen before you. Right now, it's just showing the video.
So let's practice that.
Yeah, just try and let's just start with the share screen.
Yeah, well, you just go to share screen in Zoom.
I'm going to share the message. I can't. Mine is going to. I'm just going to show it to you. Just
copy that.
this is it. Then I can copy.
Yeah, that green line means it's sharing that.
Yeah. Should be. And then if would it be too much of a hassle to show video? Is it connected to the audio already?
Yeah, it's all connected.
Like the
Yeah, it's already connected.
because when you show a video, you can.
Here, I put it in. I should be able to click there.
You might want to test that the audio is going through on the live stream.
Yeah.
It should one way or another either pick it up on the microphone or directly.
Slowly.
There's a guest network here that's slow, but
I'm on my data isn't too bad. It opened right away, but then I just shared it on my Facebook, so I clicked the link I shared, so it's taking its time. Right,
Yeti stereo
Yeti is the
microphone.
microphone.
So I should be.
You're good on that. All right, that Epson is the
So
one you
that's
want
what
on the
I'm
output.
we will begin the service
Yeah,
for
you need to leave that.
Just at this YouTube link.
Here it's
Country Bible Church.
You okay. Hello?
That's not going to come through here. That's only going to go into the live stream.
What was that just happening?
That was the video that you're playing somewhere.
No, I stopped it a while ago.
Are you playing that? This is live now.
Oh, it's because the YouTube is playing on here.
Oh.
Right there.
So I shared it to my Facebook. So we just have to go on YouTube.
So it does
Do you want me
work.
to tag you in it, in my Facebook?
I'll go so we can see what's happening on YouTube too. Okay,
Oh, it does show your video and see that?
okay.
Cool. So that's live right
So then your friends can see it. Do you want me to do that? If I did Kevin, sure.
now. It's amazing how easily all this stuff works now. You used to have to try so hard. to
Pretty
make this
cool.
kind of stuff.
Kevin Chamberlain,
Where
I'll do Robert.
Looking for your control function.
no, I'm looking for the control zoom. Oh, just click on this.
Click on that guy.
Yeah, but that doesn't.
Yeah.
This might make it big.
There should be something else. Look at that zoom.
Yeah, it should.
There's something with controls. Maybe this.
Feels unnecessary stuff.
Meeting control. Maybe it's hidden on the other side.
Oh, it's up there. Off of there. Show it my neck. Start short.
There you go.
Share this.
So you'll want to click.
Share sound, right?
Yeah, whatever you did before was working, at least for the sound.
But it wasn't. This sound wasn't coming on YouTube. Not clear. Jess, can you? Are you watching it right now?
So make sure, see, it's not up. It's not up. Is it still sharing that screen?
I have to go to the end, right, to be live?
Oh, we'd have to turn the microphone off while the video's playing.
Yeah, probably. Is it?
Oh, it's still going.
Here, let me try. Why does it?
Ivory, go away. Speedy, go away.
You can just go back to one screen if you want like that. Oh,
So
there you
it's
go.
yeah. Usually it didn't do that.
Let's see.
Okay, now I have to mute.
Says Pinterest.
Over 32 chair from Korean State.
And other teachers from around the world.
At Tumaki, we study hard.
Hello, hello, hello.
Yeah, I don't know anything. All right, I'm
And then everyone can get their food right away, right?
Yeah, and they'll release the back tables to get started.
All right, with that, we'll have everyone try to find a seat, please.
I use it just to bring down.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Test 1, 2, 3. We are good.
Okay, then we will get things started here. Welcome to our presentation night with Brandon and Jessica. We'll start with prayers, a way to quiet everybody down, but also to seek God's kindness during this time as well. So let's pray together. Father, thank you for abundant kindnesses you show us every day. We're especially thankful for hearing about, experiencing the reality that you are on the move at work all over the world. We see a little bit of what's happening, so I pray you'll guide our hearts to see and know your hand, your goodness, your kindness in Thailand and Myanmar, and that we would be not just informed, but eager to do what we can to encourage and cheer on and partner with Brandon and Jessica there. Thank you for this time together. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
You guys got like laser lights to start the show or something?
We'll get pizza first. Pizza. We'll get,
What's that, Jessica? Can't hear.
I think they'll get pizza.
They can
and
start
eat.
getting
They can
pizza.
get
Okay, so you do want them to start getting pizza.
Not yet. Not yet.
So whoever heard that back there did start with pizza, I guess.
Yeah, the back 3 tables will start here. We'll get started.
Yes, sir. That's what it was, the donation bucket for the water bed we talked about today. There was a donation bucket in the back somewhere right there. You'll be able to see it.
You guys, trying to pause.
Hello, hello. 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 Check, check, check. 1, 1, 2, check, check, check. 3, 4, 5, check. Check, 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 check. Check. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, check, check, check. 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, check, check. 3, 4, 5, check. Sound like an auctioneer. Okay, welcome everyone. It's very exciting to see so many people who are interested in what we are doing in Thailand. Please forgive us for the slight delay and all the people online. If the sound is not perfect quality, please forgive us. We're from the jungle, so I've never seen a computer before. My name is Brandon. For most of you, you know me as Uncle Brandon, this part. And if you guys are making too much noise, you're gonna have to come sing later. So be ready. Yeah, all of you. Okay. Anyway, we are here. My name is Brandon Newland. I have to say that. This is Jessica Newland. We are cousins. We are not getting married soon like one of my nieces thinks. She hasn't figured out cousins yet. But we do work together, and we did grow up together basically as brother and sister. The culture that we are working with in Thailand, they treat extended family like family. So if we grew up there, I would just call her older sister anyway, and she's much, much older than me, about 5 months. So if you look at the screen, you will see that the title for tonight is Thum Wai Ki. Thum Wai Ki is the name of our school. It means the river source. Okay, the Thum Wai is the name of the river. Ki means the source, and school is a place where students go to learn. And I call it a place of destiny, but when we use the word destiny in our lives, have you ever thought about destiny? Do you use destiny? Like, I was destined to have this many kids. I was destined to work this job. When we talk about destiny, we usually think of like princesses and going to fight the dragon or throwing the ring into the middle of a volcano. That's what destiny is. But if we think about what God knows about our lives, and we think that God has a plan for our lives, what we are doing if we are following God's plan is our destiny. Okay, so maybe some people will say, oh, that's a fancy word, you're just using it to make it sound better. Okay, fine. But I believe in destiny, and I believe that God called us to our destiny. Why do I believe that? Well, I believe that because He tells us that in the Bible. Okay, this is written to the Israelites in the Bible, but it's also for all of us who are called by God to do God's work. I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Then you will call on me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. So God is talking to his chosen people, and as Christians, we believe we are God's chosen people. God has called us, but God has not called us just to receive blessings and gifts. God has called us to be workers for his mission. So that's what God has called us to do. And where did he call us from? Well, let's go back through the history books and see where we came from. Okay, this is the part where we make our parents cry. So please bear with us. But it really is something that we would have never imagined. Growing up together, Bradley, do you see your mom in there? Is she in there? She's a tiny baby, I think. Or is that Sarah? Anyway, we grew up together. We were like extended siblings. And if you look at my picture, you can see my nose is messed up for whatever reason. My pants are dirty. That's how I grew up. So if you have a rambunctious child, it's probably not going to get better for you. Jessica looks like that in the photo, but that's not how she is. She can tell you. You can ask her parents how she was as a kid. Okay? And where did we grow up? We grew up about a mile from here, but we also grew up in this church. If you look at this picture, it's in this room. It's in this room. And I don't know, you can't really see me in that picture. I'm probably hiding behind the back. My dad was the teacher, so I used to push the boundaries a lot. And on the right side, you will see us in one of our many, many Christmas plays. We were quite the distinguished actors when we were kids. That year, she was a cow, and just to give you a glimpse, if you don't know us well, we pretended to be cows for about 3 or 4 years after that. I was cow, she was utter cow. Completely true story. So we're here tonight to celebrate how awesome we are, but also to understand how weird we That was the first for either of us to do anything related to what we're doing here. That's just what we used to do in our free time. And we grew up, we got bigger. Mom and dad, you can start crying now. Your babies aren't babies anymore. And then we went to different schools. And this is where our stories diverge. For me, long story short, I got connected with the refugee community. So the people who don't look like my family are refugees from Thailand, but originally from Burma. They're Karen people, and I got connected with them while I was a student at university. Before I started working with them, I had never even heard of the country they were from or their people group. So it was all a big whirlwind for me getting to know them. And this is a picture of us coming up for Easter that first year, filling up our house, and then we came to church on Sunday. So this was where it really started. God really started to pull at my heart to find out where these people came from and why they were here, because I had absolutely no idea. They just showed up in America. They couldn't speak English. They each had one giant bag full of clothes and blankets, and then they were here. They had to figure out the system. They had to find work. They had to struggle a lot, especially during those first few years, just to get a chance to go for the American dream. But for them, it was worth it, leaving their homeland behind, leaving family members behind, to come and have a chance to better their lives. And we'll talk about their situation more later. So I ended up going to Thailand, where I am now. This is the first year I was teaching. Jess, she told her story a little bit last week, but she ended up in Australia. Same kind of story. She went there, just kind of wandered to Australia, ended up staying there for 8 years. And then for 8 years, we didn't see each other for 5 or 6 of those years, even though we grew up together and we were basically family. Ask my mom how many times I talked to family, but I got an opportunity to go and visit a Karen community in Australia. And this is us 7 years ago, probably 7 or 8 years ago in Australia. And then 6 months later, she was on a plane. And then 2 years later, she was part of the family. Okay, so that's our journey. So I really wanted to share that because I know there are a lot of children in this church, and I love the chaos. I've had chaos in my parents' house the past month, but I love it. I just love it's so fresh. It feels so full of life. And I know a lot of young parents in this church and older parents with grandkids or just other members of the church. And you think about your kids a lot. You probably worry about your kids a lot. And when I say that we were weird and not normal, that's 100% true. But God found a way to use us and guide us to get us into the right position, okay? So that's a little bit about our destiny and where we ended up. But of course, our destiny is not finished. And let's go back to Jeremiah 29, because Jeremiah was talking to the Israelites, or God was talking to the Israelites who were exiled from their homeland. For them, they weren't seeing any hope for their future. If you heard the song By the Rivers of Babylon, they felt like there was no way for them, no future for them. But God's saying that to them, follow me, call on me, and I will prepare the way for you, was a way for them to know. And how did they know? Because they knew that God had been with them in the past, and of course, God will be with them in the future. So this brings us to the Karen people, because it's impossible to talk about the Karen people without talking about a similar situation. I told you that I first met with Karen people in America who were refugees. They had to flee from their homeland. They lived in refugee camps for decades, not able to leave the refugee camps and not knowing hope for the future. Okay, not seeing hope, but believing that there would be hope. Okay, so of course, it's not just about running and hiding. They have a rich culture. You see they value their history. They love each other. They're very hospitable. About half are Buddhist, maybe 40% are Christians. Okay, so Karen, when I talk about Karen people, there's a lot of different things. I can't tell you Karen people are like this, Karen people are like that. But as much as we can, in a tiny little bit of time we have today, I want you to understand where they came from and what they had to go through, okay? So what I want you to do now, it might be a little chaotic, but if you're in a family, talk with your family. If you're at a table, talk with the people at your table. I want you to talk about everything that you own. Think about everything that you own. If you had only one bag, a bag that you could carry, what would you put in that bag? Okay, so a bag, backpack, maybe like this big for kids. What would you put in a backpack? Everything that's special to you. Okay, you don't need to put like your mommy and daddy, but your stuff. What stuff would you put in that bag? Okay, so you have 5 minutes to talk amongst yourselves about what you would put in that bag. And remember, you have to carry it, okay? You can't put it in your car and drive off. Okay, I'm not sure if that was 5 minutes, but I just want you to get your mind in that place to think about that, because like we hear stuff on the news all the time from countries all around the world, but it never really hits home unless we really, really think about it, okay? And I'll even say it's not winter, because if you had to run in the winter, you'd be dead by morning. So we'll just say it's not winter, it's in the fall, but you have a bag ready. And why do I say that? Because that's the situation for some of our students right now, okay? About a year ago, I don't have time to go through the whole history of the situation, but it started basically right after World War II, and the situation has remained until now. But this was last year. The people were finally getting hope that they were going to have democracy, that they were going to be able to to live freely and just support their families freely, go to school, all the things that we take for granted. They felt like there was hope and there was going to be lasting peace. But last February, the military decided that they didn't like that the people were choosing others to be the leaders of the country. And so they took over again. Okay, there was a short time where we could see the light opening up, but the door slammed shut again. So what happened was people all across the country protested, and then the military got more and more severe. And because there's kids here, I'm not gonna say what the kind of stuff that happens, but a lot of bad stuff happened. And if you want to know more, you can, there's a lot of information out there, but a lot of bad stuff happened. And where we are, we're in Thailand, so we're safe from that. We don't have to worry about the soldiers coming to our school and arresting us or taking us away. We shouldn't have to worry about bombs being dropped on our school, but there are so many kids right now who have to worry about this. This is not our school. This is a school where we have about 5 or 6 of our students who are teaching at that school. And this is December 12th, okay? Just over a month, just under a month ago, they were doing their final exam before Christmas. In the morning, they took the exam. In the afternoon, they were in bunkers behind the school because the fighting broke out. They could hear, from our school, you can hear the gunshots, but because we're in Thailand, we're safe from it. But for these kids, they have to worry while they're taking their exams, while they're going to school. When you go to school, do you have to worry that the soldiers will come? Do you have to worry that you can only take what you can carry? Because for this, it was fine, okay? They're used to it. They went in the back the next morning, they had exams again. Okay, they're very resilient. But the next day, they sent in airplanes, an airstrike on the village. So the people, the students, these are all students, these are 12 to 16-year-olds. They picked up their bags, you see just a backpack per person, only the stuff you could carry in the backpack, not knowing when they could go back. Maybe they could never go back. Sometimes the soldiers come, they burn everything. They go into the houses, even the rice pots, they take the rice pots and they cut holes in the rice pots so people can't cook their rice anymore. So they come into the village, they go and do this, and these are our students crossing the river into Thailand. So this is the situation. This was just about a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Okay, and these are people who have had to deal with this for so long. For so long. If we wanted to talk about how much they have suffered, we could talk the whole night about that. But we're not talking about suffering tonight, okay? It makes us feel bad that they have to go through this. But we have a God that's bigger than all of this. We have a God that's bigger than all of this. So that's why Jess and I are there. Okay, so let's go to Dumweki. And I'm not saying that, oh, we are like Superman. We're not. I told you, we don't have to worry about that. But there are thousands of kids who have to worry about that. But still, they have dreams. Still, they want to keep pushing. And not just for themselves. That's the thing that gets me. Not just for themselves. It's not like, ooh, I want a car, I want a big house, I want this. No. They want the kids in their village to have a better chance than them. Okay, so what we see, all the things that we do at Thumweki, we see as part of God's mission. Yes, we are a school, and of course, some kids don't like school. I understand. Some kids might think school is boring. Okay, I loved school because I had all the best teachers when I was in school. Every day I like to wake up early and go to school. When there was a snow day, I would cry because I didn't get to go. But for these kids, they really feel that way. Okay, so these are just the little kids. Our school is actually from elementary school all the way to college. Okay, and for us, we are in charge of the college, but we see everything as building towards God's mission, okay? Through education, through health, through the church, through all of those things, working together in the community to push God's kingdom forward. Okay, so I'm not sure how clear this is, but you can see this is a map of Asia. I don't know how many of these countries you've heard of. If you have a good geography teacher, there's Indonesia, the Philippines, and then over here we have Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, and Thailand. Okay, Thailand is where we are, but most of the kids come from Myanmar. Okay, and then over here, our school is here. It's easy to find on the map because there's this little part of, we call it Karen State because our people are Karen people that comes into Thailand. We are right above there. And the situation I just showed you, the pictures I just showed you, is right here, right across the river from us. So we are right on the border, right across the river. Okay, so a little bit of numbers. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but this is from 2019. So in 2019, we had 950 students. We had 400 students in a dormitory. We have 40 teachers. It's a pretty big school, and most of the teachers are from our school. So a lot of the students, they finish and they want to come back. And then we had 300 people who have graduated. Then we have a lot of students who go on to further study. So this is what we're pushing for with our education. Okay, for people who know the situation, this is a review, but for the new people, sorry, I'm buzzing through it. These are what our graduates do. If you see the biggest chunk here is either teaching or some kind of missions work. What a lot of our students end up doing is they go back into the really remote villages, like the mountain villages, and they go and they work with the communities there. They work in the churches, they work in the schools, and a lot of them do everything because there's most of the students that we have, their parents can't even read and write because when they were kids, they never got to go to school because they were always running from the army. So a lot of the students, they even come when they're really little, but when they get big and they finish the school, they want to go back and they want to help and they want to give a better opportunity. And then we see some who want to be doctors and nurses working for community organizations. So most of our graduates, which is really what we're there for, is equipping our students to go and to do great things. And we're right in the middle of it, okay? So this is when I first got there in 2009. And then this is 2018. So I'm going to show you an old video, a little bit old, about our school. So the numbers are not right, but I want you to be able to see it, because I've been talking for a long time and maybe you might fall asleep. So hopefully. Okay, and give us an extra second to get it figured out online, if anyone's still there.
Over 32 teachers from Karen State.
And other teachers from around the world.
At Tumaki, we study hard.
더 바뀌었어 위해서 더 길을 닦으려 나야 뭐하고 보했어 너 봐도 그 사들 파악을 살았어 그렇다 시절 그렇다 라이프 그렇다 유토도 예수 무에 희다르게 거기 예수 얻었어 그뭐 예수만은 그 예를 다 캘러 예수 받아놨어 예수 무에 희다르게 거기 예수 얻었어 그뭐 예수만은 그 예를 다 캘러 예수 받아놨어 그렇다 싶죠 그렇다 라고 그렇다 유토도 그렇다 싶죠 그렇다 라고 그렇다 유토도 예수 무에 희다르게 거기 예수 얻었어 그뭐 예수만은 그 예를 다 캘러 예수 받아놨어 예수 무에 희다르게 거기 예수 얻었어 그뭐 예수만은 그 예를 다 캘러 예수 받아놨어
I do my kiwi dream big.
When I'm talking, I'm pretty serious when I'm talking, but actually the stuff that happens at our school, there's also a lot of fun stuff and silly stuff. So when I talk about how weird Jess and I were when we were kids, like a lot of that comes up in everything that we do over there. Okay, so that's just a little glimpse into what's happening or what was happening. That's about 4 years ago. You'll notice I have not mentioned a certain disease yet, and that's on purpose. Don't worry, we'll get there. I know everyone only wants to talk about one thing nowadays, but this is what we are, okay? So Karen culture, like I told you, they're a very proud ethnic group. Okay, for us, we don't really understand ethnic group because we are nationality, we are American, everyone's American. But for them, they have their own language, their own culture, but they never had a place that they could live peacefully with their own people. Even in their villages, they have to be afraid. So at our school, we're very proud that we come from that background because they're celebrating their grandparents and their grandparents, generation to generation. Okay, we're also working to raise the leaders of the future. We have the little ones and we have the big ones. Okay, so this guy is a student. Can you imagine if you were a student talking in front of 900 people every day? We have assembly every morning. All the students come to the assembly and the students run the assembly. Okay, in the church, the students run their own services for the youth services. So they get a lot of leadership opportunities, and that extends into community outreach. So this is working on the school, but also brainstorming, because they are truly the leaders of the next generation. A lot of them will have opportunities to enact real change, and we want them to have the confidence to do that. Okay, and then we also have our community outreach, which is my favorite thing. You saw a little at the end of the video, but we have students who go out every summer to the villages, and they do like a VBS, English, sport, like all this rolled into one, and the students plan and organize it by themselves, and they do it for a month. Some of them do it for 2 months. Okay, I know a lot of people in the church get involved in Vacation Bible School, and that's just a week. Okay, so can you imagine like having to run programs the whole day, how exhausted you would be? But they love it. They cherish the opportunity, and every year we get more and more students who are interested in it. So that's a lot of what's happening at the school. We'll talk a little bit later about what's happening now, because a lot of this stuff isn't happening, but we thought it would be interesting because we always get questions about what it's like to live there. What are your houses like? What kind of bugs do you see? What kind of weird things do you eat? Okay, so we got a show for you. So Jess is going to go through all that because she has a special affinity for creepy crawlies and a lot of different things. So she's gonna tell more about her role at the school, but also what living over there means.
Yes, thank you for that introduction, Brendan. I like creepy crawly things, but I like to keep my distance. So you'll see the photos are very zoomed in when we get to that part. But like Brendan said, I'm gonna just discuss a little bit about what we do at the school. So you've learned about Karen people, you've learned about Thumwiki, and now I'm gonna just talk a little bit about our roles at the school, more specifically my role at the school. So at Thumwiki, we have a lot of different age students, like Brandon was saying. We start all the way from primary and go up through college. So for me, one of my main roles is Dean of Education. So I got called over there by Brennan to come and help the teachers. And I thought I was just going to be teaching, but I didn't realize that I was going to be teaching them how to teach. I've grown to love this so much, and I thank God for the opportunity that I've had in Australia for 8 years to be under, like I said last Sunday, but just to be mentored by great teachers that gave me confidence in the ability to pass that on to the teachers that I'm now, or the students I'm teaching to be teachers. So you can see this year we have 11 or maybe 12 education students. Some of them are afraid to join education because they know it's a lot of reading. So throughout the year, they'll slowly seep into the program because they know their heart is with teaching. So that's one of my responsibilities. Another responsibility that I have, that I had more last year as well, was helping out with the primary school. One of my housemates, so I've bought a house with 2 other people, sorry, and one of them is head of primary. So we didn't have BLA last year, so I was able to do what I'm trained to do, and I was able to teach health and physical education to primary students. Because that's really my degree and that's my passion, the sciences, and I'm able to teach other things, but it was really good last year just to be able to teach primary students. There was a very big communication barrier. As you probably know, Brendan can speak Karen very well. I can understand some, but I'm very hesitant to speak because I don't like to make mistakes, and I need to get over that. But it was great because other teachers were able to come to my class and kind of learn how to teach through that. So here is different classes that we do. So our classrooms don't look very similar to the classrooms over here. We teach sometimes in the jungle. We teach in any place that is cool because it's very hot over there a lot of the time. And we're able to teach the students a lot of different skills. Like Brandon said, we focus on leadership, a lot of critical thinking, because their education in the past has been very different than how we're teaching them now. Another role that I have is the finance manager. It's not something I signed up for. I wasn't at a meeting, I don't remember why, but I came back to the school and was told that was my duty now. So you can see in the top left-hand corner on my side that we're doing enrollment, so the students pay a little fee, and so it's my responsibility to keep track of all of that money and yeah, just to make sure the everyday stuff is running with that at the school. I also am able to help support Brendan and help him. Brendan is my boss. I think Bradley was asking, she said, I'm older, so I'm his boss, but over there, Brendan is my boss, so I have to listen to him. So, like Brendan said, I just wanted to explain a little bit about the living situation over there. So these photos are from my house, and I know that a lot of you were involved a couple of years ago. We made videos, and you were able to see us starting to build it. This is actually our kitchen that is now finished. We have it all built up there, but you can see the houses are very different than houses over here. Okay, over here you get snow, so it needs to be completely enclosed and insulated and able to be kept warm in the winter. Over there, there are gaps and holes everywhere. Even in a concrete or cement house, there are holes. And you have lizards and every different animal that you will see living in that house with you. I think I told my parents I was over here and someone pulled a cord. And I really honestly thought it was an animal in the house. And then I realized where I was and realized it's not going to be a snake in the middle of winter in our living room. But this in the middle, they always ask about the toilets over there. I won't go into detail, but that is the toilet that we use. You don't sit on the toilet, you squat over the toilet, and they don't use toilet paper, you just clean yourselves with water. So the little bucket on the side there, you just use that and you flush it down by dumping water. In the middle, just right here, this is where I take, we just say take a bath, even though we don't get into the water tank. We had a visitor come one time, a pastor, and he actually got into the water tank and took a bath in the water tank, and they had to drain it. But really, we collect our water there because the water doesn't come regularly. So we use the little scoop and we dump water over our bodies, and that's how we take our baths, wash our hair, brush our teeth, wash our clothes. We do all of that in that room there. Here's just some more pictures. In Karen homes, generally you won't find furniture. You'll walk in and you'll just see an empty space, and they all just sit on the floor and talk to each other, lean against a wall if you're lucky to get a wall. My legs and knees get very sore. I think they're getting used to it now. But it's very bare, and it's great because so many people just cram in, and yeah, it's just a really good community feel over there. This area here is our wash up area for the kitchen. So that's where we do our dishes, and a lot of them are similar to this. It kind of goes out off the house, and again, it's just scooping water and washing it and rinsing off your dishes. The water comes to us, I just put the pipe up there, that's how the water comes. There's a big reservoir in a town right near us, and it's just piped down through really big pipes. And when you build a house, you just cut into that pipe and put your pipe in there, and it then comes to your house. But like I said, it's not that reliable. So we will have 4 or 5 days at a time where the water won't come. So we need big storage areas to keep the water. And it's actually a really annoying thing because, like I said, they use water for the toilets. So if they can't find water, it's really difficult to use the toilets over there. This is how a lot of them cook. So they cook with the fire and pots, they do rice and everything like that. So that will be in most Karen kitchens there. So I wanted to talk a little bit about my house, but also I call them my Karen family over there. We were planning on having about 12 people live in the house. Brandon lives in his own home. You'll see that later. He'll show you his house. But in my house, the 2 girls on this side are the ones that bought the land with me, and the 3 of us live there. And they come from very big families. Karen families are always big because, like Brandon said, everyone older is their sister or their cousin or their auntie, even if they're not related. So we were going to have about 12 of their relatives come, but we ended up with just 2 because of the situation this year. But we're a family. And how Brandon was talking about our outreach over there, and what we do is not just in the school, but part of our whole lives over there. And oh yeah, on this side, I was really excited because the boy, his name is Thinkuhe. He lives like under the house. We have a little concreted area. He sent me a message a couple of days ago. He said, "Teacher, guess what? I'm getting baptized." I was like, wow, that's great. I wish I could be there, but we just do morning devotions in our house, and we were doing it just as the three girls, and then he came and he's like, "Can I join?" And we were actually doing like a Women of God book, and I said, well, that's okay if you want to join, that's great. And I think he comes from a Christian background, but it was great to just have him in there in the devotion, and we were all able to practice their English, but also just worship God in that sense. So it's just such an amazing feeling being over there and knowing that everything you do, even if you live your life over here, you're living your life for God. You're being a witness for God in just everyday things in your house, going to the stores, going to your workplace. And it's the same situation over there. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about my Karen family over there. Next. Also in our house, there are children. This is normal, just even running up and grabbing. There are just children everywhere. Karen people are very communal with everything. So we will have kids just come in, their parents don't know where they are. We live in a safer area. But these three children in particular love to come to my house. I've put a little bucket of Legos. I have some dominoes, just different toys that they can play with, and they love to come in and just play with those toys. We have a whiteboard up. I think Anya was practicing his Thai writing. He just started school this year in a Thai school, so he was practicing writing Thai. But in our house, mostly what we do, I just put these pictures up. We are planning for our school. So the two I live with are people, are students who have graduated from our program that Brandon was talking about, and now they're teachers at our school, and they're very hardworking teachers. We're planning, as all teachers do, late into the night. And then when they're not planning, what she's doing over there is she's weaving. So you can see the clothes that Brandon and I are wearing. This is how a lot of them are made. And in their free time, they like to just weave their own clothes, and then they hand stitch some of the things in there. So that's just a little bit about the situation. Something else that is really good, it was really good for me to get involved in. Once I had a house in our church program, we have Wednesday night services and then Sunday services, but Sunday nights we have something they just call home cell groups. So whatever area you live in, you go house by house, and every Sunday it changes, and you have a little service in the house, and whoever's house you're in just provides a meal, and you eat together. So this was Ikopaso, they call it more like a tent. He had just a little bamboo hut that was kind of open, so we all crammed into Ikopaso's house. And he didn't cook anything, but the kids loved it. I did too. So we ate a bunch of snacks and drank pop at that time. And you can just see the different ways that, or the different houses that we do it in. Sometimes if it's nice weather, we'll sit outside. But this for me was really encouraging because it allowed me to communicate more, especially with the women there, because they were very shy to talk to me because I'm English. Even if I'm in my house, a lot of them don't like to come into the house because they feel afraid, like I'll ask them a question and they won't be able to respond. And I told them I feel the same way about Karen. You ask me a question and I'm not sure what to say. But being in this group just led to really close friendships that I have now. And now they don't care. We speak broken English and broken Karen, and we have a great relationship with each other. All right, food. I won't say a lot. I have a lot of pictures. I won't say a lot, but for Karen people, rice is a staple. I don't know how their small bodies fit that much rice into them. I will eat what I think is a normal portion of rice. Even for Brandon, they out-eat Brandon. Like, their bodies are tiny, but they can eat so much rice. So rice, Here you can see vegetables. They grow it, they gather it. I always joke with my friends. They always ask to go on walks. We do exercise, but I know that means we're going to be in the ditch picking up a weird root or a weird leaf or something because they can eat it. No matter where we go, they find things that we can eat. The very top, you'll see something that looks a little red. That's called fish paste. That is really what most of them will eat, and they love eating it. I've grown to enjoy it. I think Brennan really likes it as well. But it's a lot of chili and then fermented fish, and they kind of just put a little bit over their rice and it gives it that fishy flavor. But we'll just go through the photos. I won't say much about it. I just want to show you. Here's some frog legs. Here's some chicken soup. This is my favorite meal over there by far. I have to try everything, so I tried this bug of whatever it was, but I don't think I ate a lot of that. Here's, I think they're dried rats or squirrels, I'm not sure. One of my students gave it to me, actually gingerite. I've talked about gingerite. She gave it to me as a thank you gift. But my housemates were very excited, so I gave it to them. I said, you can cook something with it and I will try it. In the middle is what our students love to do. It's called hot pot or mobitai. They go to a restaurant and they just have like a buffet of uncooked food, and you take all of the meat and everything and you cook it at your table yourself. So they'll sit for hours and just eat food. They don't get to do that very often. It's a treat to be able to do that. And then there's a Thai dish on the end. It's called kotio. Okay, thanks. Another thing I really enjoy is the fruit over there. There's always some kind of fruit in season. And so I just took a picture. I'm not sure if you're familiar with all of these fruits. We have papaya, we have star fruit, we have rambutan, we have mangosteen, watermelon, longan, dragon fruit, red dragon fruit, mango, and my absolute favorite, green mangoes, which are sour, and then you dip them in chili and they just taste amazing. But it's great to be able to see different types of fruit. A lot of them look very beautiful, but I'll tell you, the dragon fruit doesn't even have a taste. That's the white one with the black seeds. It looks really pretty, but it's not very delicious. So just in case you ever get a chance to eat it. Now, bugs and stuff because I don't want to write snakes, because those of you who know me, you know I absolutely hate snakes. I think, Brandon, you would say this is your biggest fear by far. I still would be more afraid of snakes than centipedes, which is crazy for me because I killed that in my house. It ran out at me. And these, if they bite you, it's a very bad sting that you end up in hospital with. So we have those over there. We have spiders. We have giant cicadas. This doesn't look very scary, but this will make you itch so bad you want to go crazy. If you touch it only a little bit, your whole body will itch. I've had hives all over my neck from those. So we'll just go through some just to let you see. Most of these I've taken in my house or just near my house. So you can see what has lived with me. And this one in the middle, if you look at the nail for reference, it was a giant tokay gecko. The other ones are small. These look kind of gross, but they're harmless. You can hold them in your hand. Don't mix them up with the centipede. You can see the different in snails. That top snail I could fit in my palm, and then the bottom snail could fit on my fingernail. Keep going, we have more. Spiders. So that top spider is a tarantula. We have big black tarantulas over there. That was actually in my friend's sink. And before, actually, for Adeline and Ivory, my nieces, I would take videos. They love spiders, so I would send them videos of all these spiders. And my friend Kyle, or maybe his wife Stephanie, called me and said, we have a giant tarantula in our sink. Do you want to come take a video for your niece? I said, is it safe? Like, I don't want to go over there, but Kyle brought it over in the container. And I said, just put it on the ground, I'll take a picture. But you can see all the other different types of creepy crawly spiders as well. We have a lot of beetles over there. The beetles make the crazy noises. These beetles you can see have giant pinchers. I was watching a video when I was making this slideshow and it cut through a stick when someone put it there. So you wouldn't want to get your finger too close to that one. But we have lots of beetles over there living. All frogs. This frog makes the loudest noise. In the middle of the night, you hear this very deep bellow. So you hear frogs and toads, more beetles, maybe a praying mantis, so many butterflies. Butterflies and moths that are really beautiful. You can see I'm brave. I put my hands there. My fingers are a lot closer. And then just, this scorpion has tiny scorpion babies on its back. So just so many scorpion babies. And when I was taking a video, I took a screenshot of a video. You could see the tiny babies moving, and I've killed so many I can't count now. I also, you'll see later, I actually woke up to one injecting venom in my lip, which I was not happy with. Here, I thankfully did not see this. Brandon gave me this picture. I don't even like to look at it or to think that it could be near my house. But this is actually
It's dead, don't worry.
It wasn't though, someone had to kill it. So this is our headmaster's daughter, his youngest daughter. And yeah, that's a either reticulated python or Burmese python, I'm not sure which one. Fortunately, I've never seen a snake that big. I honestly think God just shields my eyes because there are snakes everywhere over there and I haven't seen that many. One of my housemates killed one in my house, but she didn't want to tell me because she knew I didn't like it. But then I started thinking, what else haven't you told me? How many snakes live in here? And it was a very scary time for me. Here is my neighbor, probably Brandon's best friend over there. His name is Blawa, and that is a giant fish on his back. The river flooded and the fish came up and then the river receded and all of these fish got stuck. And so he didn't have to catch it. He went and picked it up and walked back home and cut it up and gave us all a meal. I don't know, is it catfish or something? I don't even know what that is. Giant dinosaur fish. So we have chickens at our house, and I thought instead of the snake, I would leave you with this nice picture of my chickens dressed up in cupcake. This was, I know we haven't mentioned the disease yet, but this was in that time we were a little bit bored and wanted something to do. We do raise them for food, so I'm dressing them up only to eat them later, which is sad, I guess, but this is a happy animal to leave in. Off, one more. This, I just wanted to show you, I've only been bitten or stung, I guess. A scorpion, like I said, I was sleeping in my room, in my bed, in my mosquito net. That's like the sanctuary over there. Nothing should be getting in there. And I woke up, and this is actually a picture of the scorpion that bit me. We found it the next morning, still alive in the bed in the cover. So you could see, I remember in this picture, you could see my headphones there. I was on the phone to my dad because it was 3 a.m. Everyone was asleep, and it was just so much pain that I just had to talk just to get the pain out of my mind. I have no idea what bit me here. I woke up like that, and I'm not sure what happened. It itched really bad, but it was swollen, and then there was a small dot, so maybe a spider. And then here, these don't look that bad, but they're mosquito bites, and those are the worst kind of bites because you can get all the different types of diseases. Okay, lastly, I want to talk a little bit about driving. So this is Brandon's motorbike about 4 years ago. And so you can imagine the condition is a lot worse. But over there, driving is different. You drive on the opposite side of the road over here, and the roads, this is actually in Myanmar. We got stuck, and instead of helping, I just took a video and took pictures. I did help later, but the conditions are really bad, and it's very different. Mostly, you would use a motorbike, and motorbikes, as you can see, can fit more than one person. I went to a house to pick students up for a school program we were doing, and I was told I was going to be picking up the little girl, the oldest girl on there. And then her brothers wanted to come, and the little sister didn't want to stay home alone, so everyone got on the motorbike, and I carefully, very, very carefully drove them to school and drove them home. So I just wanted to show you a little bit about the living situation over there. And now Brandon will talk a little bit more about the situation currently at our school.
Okay, if everyone can stand up, we're just gonna stretch a little bit. Okay, and I'm well aware that the Packer game starts in a few minutes, but the Packers have been terrible in the first quarter of this year, so don't even worry about it. They're gonna win. Okay, so this is something that probably the easiest thing, but the most helpful thing to get your blood rushing. So all you have to do is you do this 5 times, 5 times, 5 times, 5 times, then 4 times, 4 times, 4 times, 4 times like that. Okay, so just follow me.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 1, 1, 1. Sit down.
See, it's easy. I got the blood rushing. Got the blood rushing. Okay, so I said we actually made a whole hour without mentioning the thing that comes up in every conversation. Every person I've talked to in America, the first 30 minutes has been about this. Everywhere in the world, people talk about this. As much as we hate it and don't want to talk about it, as much division it brings up, as much sorrow it brings to the people who have lost, there's so many terrible things about this, but if we go back, God is in control. God is in control. So for us, and I'm not gonna say like I'm like a holy boy. Every day I wake up, oh, I'm so glad we can't have school this year because God is in control. No, I have complained. I have gotten angry. I've been frustrated. I've been annoyed again and again and again and again and again. But if you look at the big picture. That's why when I talk about me and Jess growing up and how we ended up there, we see that God was in control the entire time. So why do we doubt that he's in control now? And why do we doubt that things are not going to work for our good? Okay? So of course we have been touched by COVID. We actually made it a year and a half without really interacting with anyone who had COVID. It was very, very low in Thailand until May when we were planning to start school. Okay, I know Uncle Robin loves this picture, that's why I put it on here. But this is me and our headmaster, the principal of the school. Our job was to go around and test people because we got one case, then we got a bunch of cases, and we after a while we didn't wear the suits because it was really hot and I had to drain the sweat out of the sleeve every time in between testing people. But anyway, we experienced it firsthand. And right now our school is COVID-free, but we are still waiting for the go-ahead to start school. And hopefully when we go back, we will be able to start. Okay, I just want to, because Jess talked a lot about her house and her situation, I want to talk about some of the things that I did during the past 2 years, because we haven't been able to teach in person. This is my crew. I realized that children like candy. And because a lot of the kids there are afraid of me at first, especially the little ones. They haven't seen, me and Jess are the first. It's funny because actually sometimes they think that my name is the name for like a tall white person. So there's some kids who call her Teacher Brandon because that's what they think the name for us is. But I've made many children cry and run away, and I don't like to make children cry. So I kind of went a little bit too far and started giving them candy every day. Now I can't go anywhere around school without a bag full of candy. And on Christmas, I'll go around with like a big Santa Claus bag and just throw candy at them. But this is what I do to kind of relax. I hang out. We made a set of Uno cards to play with. I taught them a little bit of English, but in the end we play fun games. We play hide and seek. We play red light, green light. Like a lot of the games that they like to play are similar to the games that we play over here. So it's a lot of fun. Okay. During the break, I also got a house, but I am a bachelor, and so I don't have standards for place that I sleep. So I just it's nice to have my own space, but I don't spend a lot of time in my living space because the school is kind of like my living space. So most of the time I'm either in the office, or when we have school, I'm teaching and helping the students with homework, that kind of stuff. So it's really nice to have my own space, but I didn't want to spend any money on it. So one of the dorms we had just torn down, so I just basically scavenged all the parts of the dorm. You can see the roof is half tin, half another thing. And then they put it on stilts so it doesn't flood. The roof leaks a little bit, but I'm very happy to have that place. And also what I've learned is when you have stuff that's not nice, people don't want to borrow it. So that's why, if you want something to last, don't own nice things. That's what I say all the time. Why? And then other interesting things, you probably noticed that my teeth are a different color. It's this thing, it's called betel nut. If you've never heard of it, grows on trees. And it's kind of the traditional Karen gathering food, put in your pocket. If you're hungry, eat it. You can call it chewing gum or chocolate. We call it a bunch of different things, but Korean people eat it a lot, and I have followed suit. So I ate a lot of betel nut when I was sitting at my computer for days and days. And I also broke my arm. I fell off a ladder. That wasn't fun. But yeah, that was my life. So bad things happened. COVID is a bad thing. I don't want to focus on that though. I'm struggling with how to say this, but when I talk to my students, I know, because a lot of our students, especially the older students, they're just on the edge. Like a lot of them are very passionate. They want to be pastors, they want to be teachers, but they also have worries about their families. And the key for them is education, to push through with their education, and then they can go to Bible school, or then they can go to medical school. And there's a lot of things that we need to keep going. It's good for us to have momentum when we have school. So during this time, we've lost a lot of our students. Okay, I showed you before, in 2019, we had 900. This year, we had about 600 who registered, and that's because of the war, that's because of COVID, all those different things. So there's a lot of discouraging things that have happened for us as a school, but also for the students and their families. But if we're always looking at that, one of my sisters told me the other day, she heard somewhere, we don't have to point out the dark. Okay, we know the dark is there. We know that we live in a fallen world, and we know that there are terrible things that happen, and it doesn't mean we ignore them or we pretend that they're not there. But every time, no matter how bad our lives are, no matter how much we feel like we have no hope, there are always blessings that we can see, okay? So I'm not gonna talk about how much I hate COVID. I'm gonna talk about how COVID has been a blessing to our school, okay? If you look in the Bible, there's this idea of the year of Jubilee, okay? Because you work the land, you work really hard, and then it's good to rest for things to kind of be replenished. So for us at our school, we kind of looked at it that way because we had been growing so fast. We went from 200 to 400 to 500 to 900. We were going to be over 1,000, and we were bursting at the seams. So in a way, it kind of felt, I was like, okay, hang on, be patient. Okay. I didn't expect 2 years of Jubilee, but that's another story. But anyway, just because we have to wait doesn't mean that it's all a bad thing. Okay, because even though we were waiting, we were able to have kids coming to school. Our school has a good relationship with one of the Thai schools in the area, And because the COVID situation in Thailand was good, the Thai schools were able to attend in person. So our elementary kids were able to come. And since the numbers were smaller, it was a really good time for Jess to do a lot with the teachers and for the teachers to really grow together, for just the elementary school teachers. So in a lot of ways, this was a blessing. Even though we couldn't do high school and we had to do other parts of the school online, having this group of students, those students benefited from that a lot. Okay, also for health and safety, and not just about COVID, but everything. Like we have to worry about malaria. Every year we have students who get malaria, we have students who get dengue. A few years ago, we had 2 students who died in the same year of typhoid. There's a lot of tropical diseases that are really, really dangerous for us there that we have to worry about. And every year, because we have so many students in a small space, it's very, very difficult for us to stay on top of that, okay? And 3 years ago, Jessica can tell you, we had this one weird new disease called chikungunya. Like the name of the disease is even stupid. Sorry, silly or not good. But chikungunya, and it's like malaria or dengue. The first night I had a fever of like 104. The second night I had diarrhea. The third night I was vomiting. And then the third night I got so dehydrated I had to go to the hospital. So it's a terrible disease. Anyway, and half of our students got it. But last year was actually the best year for us ever for health-wise. Like less students having to go to the hospital. I did break my arm, but like most of the students were healthy and happy. We didn't have that many students, but it was nice to not have to worry about, because that's a thing that we have to worry about constantly. We have someone who's on call all the time, and sometimes that person is me, not as much anymore. That I've had to drive students to the clinic or the hospital at 3 in the morning, and we didn't have that last year. So that's another blessing. Okay, and if you look at the medicine, also this, we got clean water. We had a group come in and give us a giant water filter, and the students run, so we have clean and healthy water and reliable for us. Okay, another thing, because our students, especially our college age students, were not able to come to school, that meant a lot of them were in their communities, okay, in their villages. And so the situation in a lot of the villages, it's really hard for them to find teachers. So a lot of our students, they're probably, like I told you, most of the parents cannot read and write, or if they can, they read and write a little bit. A lot of the teachers have only finished grade 6 or grade 7, especially in the really remote places. One of our students, his mother is the principal of the school, and she finished grade 5. So there's just, because of the war, for so long, there's such a low level of education. But our students are the generation that are changing that. And so because they weren't able to come to school, probably about 40 of our students were full-time teachers in their schools. So those communities and those kids, all the schools in Myanmar, all the government schools were closed. But in the Karen villages, they had school, and a lot of our students were teaching there. So these are just some of our students who were teachers. And like some of them have come back to school, and we can see how much of an impact that has on them. To be in a position of leadership with more responsibility, there's nothing better for young people. So if you have teenagers, find them some way, responsibility or duty, get involved in the church. It's so much for their development and growth. Okay, also, it was good for our families. Like, for example, the people who live with Jessica, the teachers who live with Jessica, they came to Thumweki to study originally when they were in 5th or 6th grade, one of them. And during that time, maybe 1 week during the summer, they would get to see their parents. Okay, so from the time they're like 14 or 15 years old until they're 24, 25 now, they only get to see their parents a couple days a year sometimes. So during this time, one of her housemates was able to go back and spend the whole year, work in the rice fields, learn the value of hard work, and really reconnect with their family. So that was another thing for a lot of our students. These are them with their nieces and nephews, with their families. So that's another blessing that we got. Okay, another blessing is a school, something that I'm not very fond of, but it's useful. Okay, we saw at the beginning of our presentation tonight, we're trying to figure this out. Okay, but technology, if you think about how much technology has improved in the last 10 years. And of course, a lot of times we'll think of like the bad things that come with technology and social media, and that of course, yes, we have the same problems with our students. I have to tell them all the time not to post silly things. But when I first got there, no one had access to a phone, we didn't have internet, and now we were able to study online. A lot of students were not able to, but the ones who were got a new skill. Okay? And if any of you kids have had to study online, you know that it's not easy, it's not the same. But we're thankful for that opportunity because we wouldn't have had it. If we didn't have technology, we would have been completely out of contact. Even Jess and I being here, we were able to teach for the first month. We would wake up at 6 in the morning and teach them at 7 o'clock at night. And we were able to have classes and stay connected because of technology. Okay, so it's not perfect, but it's a blessing when you use it for God's mission. Okay, another thing for us, during that time, if you look at this picture on this side, you see these tents, like people have tents set up for parties. Those were our classrooms because we had too many students and not enough classrooms. Okay, we were studying in the jungle. When it rained, everyone grabbed an umbrella and would have to huddle under trees. Okay, but during the time when we didn't have students, we were able to get 2 beautiful new buildings. This is our final exams. Everyone's crammed into our community hall. So this is one new building that we got, and then our gigantic, wonderful, beautiful building as well over there. These are the tents, and they were so hot, we had to put cardboard up as the ceiling. Okay, but God has blessed us. God, through others, through this church, through the students coming, God has blessed us again and again and again. And through that, our mission is expanding. Okay, this is another new building. This is a building for our Masters of Divinity program. So our school is not technically a Christian school, but we work closely together with the Korean churches there, and our church works with the school. It's all working together, and so we've decided to push up the level because the best way for our school to get better is for our school to produce more qualified people. So this is our Masters of Divinity program that Pastor Dave is going to be coming and teaching at some point in the future. And it's meant to develop pastors and to send them. And another program that we've been planning for so long that hasn't really come to fruition yet. It's like I was saying, we have a lot of students who want to go back into their communities. But when you ask what is the biggest need, what do they need? They need teachers. They need pastors. They need health workers. They need all of these things. So what we're trying to do is equip our students to do all of those things. So we give them health training, we give them teacher training, they get the theological training if they go through the MDiv program or through the Bible school, and we send them out. So a lot of times it feels like we're just waiting. We want to explode and to send out all of these workers into to harvest, but God said wait, so we're gonna wait. Anyway, our mission is ever expanding, and the thing that we can never forget is that God is in control. For Korean people, this is much easier for them to understand. I told you, since World War II, how many of you have been alive since World War II? Okay, if my grandma was here, she would raise her hand. But that's how long they have had to face this. Some years are better than others, but they have had to deal with this. That's why we exist in Thailand, because they've had to flee as refugees, because the Burmese government has oppressed them. But if you go there, you won't see people with looks of despair. You won't see people crying beside the street. You'll see joy, you'll see hope. Okay, of course there is the darkness, and we pray for them every day at our school and hope that you will pray for them also, for the ones who are facing the conflict right now. But there's a hope that we cannot attest, like it doesn't come from us. We get it from the students. And I can only believe that the hope that the students have is coming from God. The belief that tomorrow can be better than today and that God is with them. So if you can come to Thailand, you are all invited but at the very least, you can pray. And now you know, I know that we were kind of all over the place, but just pray for the Karen people. I won't say a lot about these people. I wanted you to have some faces and names. Okay, so if you want to write this down to pray specifically, this is Kasi. He'll be graduating this year, but he spent the past couple of years teaching in really remote places. His students love him there. Okay, Kasi. This is Pasopaku. If you can't remember that, just say Pasol. Okay. But she was tiny when she first got there. She was just a little, she's still tiny. We make fun of her all the time. But I think she was in like 4th grade. When she first came to Thumwiki, she came with her sister and her little brother because her father passed away. And she's very talented. She sings, she dances, she does everything. And now she got a scholarship to go and study at a really high level university in Thailand. And just was able to go a couple months ago. So she's really excited about that. But not just because she's smart, but because she has a heart. Every year, every summer, she was in a different village with a different group of kids and just giving her heart. She has a huge heart. So she is Basa. And then this guy's just getting started on his journey. His name is Peace Stone. His older sister's name is Snow White Stone. Snow White, like the cartoon character. But their mom wanted to use Stone in their name, and then his older brother is named New Life Stone, and he is Peace Stone. Okay, he's 9 years old now. He's in 2nd grade, and he's just getting started. But his father also passed away, and so he's living with one of our teachers at the school right next to Jess's house. And he's just a sweetheart. When I see him, I can't wait to see him. And I really want Titan and Ben. Look at him, he's 9 years old. You know what he likes? He likes the Avengers. His favorite Avenger is Thor, but they don't know his name. They call him the Hammer Guy in their own language. So he is the Hammer Guy. He's the Hammer Guy. He likes Paw Patrol. Okay? He's just a normal kid. But because of where he was born and because of the conflict his mom has now had to flee also from the village, and he is staying with us so he can stay safe. Okay, so those 3 names, Kasi, and I could give you hundreds more, but I just want you to have someone that you can pray for, and I promise we're going to get better about sending updates. It's our fault. It's not like the mission board at church. It's our fault, and we take advantage of the fact that Robin is my uncle and her dad, because he'll ask me sometimes for like a paragraph, and it'll take me a month to answer him. So it's our fault. We're gonna do better. We're gonna do better. Okay, but I really appreciated for the past 2 years just being a part of the live stream, and just that little bit that he says every week during the offering. It means so much just to know that you know, and that you're praying, and that we're not there alone. We are part of this church. And maybe God will never call you or any of your children to go halfway around the world, but we are the church together, and we are doing God's missions together. Okay? We're the lucky ones. That's how I see it. We're the lucky ones. We get to go out. You guys have to be in the 5-degree weather. How do you live here? We're the lucky ones. We get to go live in a tropical paradise and be with all these great kids. But it's all part of the same goal. God has called all of us to be a part of his mission through the church. Okay, here's some more school pictures. Okay, so finally for the prayer requests, of course, safety and security for all the students and their families. A lot of the students are worried about their families. Right now, most of our students who are studying are in Thailand, so it's not so serious for them, but we have a few who are on internship, like the one who's teaching, who has had to flee, but he said the situation has been better the past couple of weeks. I don't know how the situation can get that much better, but he seems more comfortable. So pray for the students and their families, pray for wisdom for the leaders, for the UN has not really done anything in the past. They don't like to get involved because it's a domestic issue, but pray that someone with power will do something about it because it's been going on for 70 years. And the people have been suffering and sometimes they feel like nobody hears them. In the world, nobody hears them. Okay? They have faith in God, but not so much faith in the powers that be. Okay, so pray for that. Pray for comfort and faith in God's plan. Okay, we've been talking tonight like we're all happy. Yeah, oh, we just found out 2 weeks ago that we have to quarantine when we go back. We can't start school yet. All this bad news. And that's not how we feel, but pray that God will give us that comfort. It's easy to say it, but it's not easy to feel it. Okay, that God can give us the faith in Him, that He's doing everything the right way, and that in the end it's His plan, it's not our plan. Okay, and then long-lasting peace for the people who haven't known peace in their whole lives, and then of course, bye-bye COVID. Okay, so that's us. Do you want to say anything else? Well, I want to say a little bit about Jess because like she did the spider and that part, but she's really, really important to the school. She's more important than me now. I am her boss, but our school would have collapsed in on itself a long time ago if she wasn't there. So that's another, I cannot emphasize enough how much that was God's, because I never thought about it. We never thought about it. Our parents definitely never thought about it. It just happened. It just happened. So thank God that He knows better than we do. Okay, I don't know if there will be questions. You can always send us questions. Yes, sir?
Do you plan on continuing any education before you adjust? What are your plans?
I want to answer that.
Or hopes for that?
We've been kicking it around for a while because our mission there is primarily educational, and we are teaching bachelor level students, and we are calling our college a university, and we both only have bachelor's degrees. So we've been looking for a way at least to get our certification up there and learn a lot. For me, I'm not trained as a teacher. I never wanted to be a teacher or planned to be a teacher. I was a little bit of a terror to teachers, but I ended up there. Jess has more training and more knowledge, but it's taken me about 10 years to realize that this is what God wants me to do long term. So we are looking into that, looking into ways that we can further our education. But the problem is we don't want to leave the school even for like a couple months at a time. So we're looking at different distance or like intensive courses. So yes, we are. Well, thank you everyone for coming. I know it's late. I want to get much better too. Oh yeah. See? Dibaca nila. Mitela banyak banget. Itu yang aktifan upaya meki kultura. Upaya menina terakhir bukan. Awal ini ada tu nane. Upaya mereka. Jadi tidak ini kor. The Dupatia. Masa ini ada pada anime terkini banyak kulu bilang. Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. Go ahead.
It was very quick. First he started saying, "What are you saying?" And then I think he's talking nicely to his brother and saying different things. But no, I don't speak it. I can understand a bit slowly, but Brandon is like he's Quran over there, so it's great to have that.
I said people with bad teeth have good brains. Yeah.
Uncle Robin.
And we have one more thing that it's more of a Thai thing, but it's like the funnest thing ever. There's like paper lanterns that they every November there's a festival where they release paper lanterns. So if anyone wants to watch, we're gonna release, or actually, if everyone wants to come and like sign their name or write like a prayer request or like good wishes, we don't know where it's gonna land, but I know the kids are gonna love it. So we have these paper lanterns we're gonna release, and then I think it'll be a good like ending to the night. Okay. Okay, so if there are any other questions. Yeah.
I guess it's like, is that?
Where the students end up going, like was it the pie chart?
Yeah, that chart was not.
Oh yeah, Nagaland. It's a part of India. But it's like on the other side of Myanmar, and our students, it's really hard for our students to get a student visa to go to India, and a lot of them don't have identification to even go. So what they do is they go through their own country, and then they kind of cross the border semi-legally and study in the school, because it's a good school. It's a Christian school. We sent a few students there, and the problem with that is for the 3 years that they're there, they can't come back at all. So we're basically sending them to a foreign land for 3 years, and then they come back and see us. So it's a hard, that's one of the challenges we have, is to find better opportunities for our students, because they're so limited. Next time we come, we'll bring some fried crickets, and it's a winter, so we couldn't find any crickets, but promise that there will be better food. I know you guys are tired of pizza. And the giant snake is actually delicious. You know, I don't just say that, it's like one of the best tasting foods over there. So if anyone offers you a Burmese python, go for it. What have you got to lose? Should I just close in prayer? Would you like to say anything else, Pastor? Okay. Yes? Okay. All right, let's pray. Lord, I thank you so much that even though it's freezing cold outside and we have so many distractions in our lives, that you are with us, and that we can come together and we can share together. And as life happens and we are separated, we don't see each other, but we can still keep each other in our prayers, and we can, for the people here, that they will have a renewed interest in what's happening, not just what we're doing, but what's actually happening, and how you are working with the Karen people and have been working with the Karen people for centuries. And for us to be able to get that extra energy to see that we are part of a bigger body. It's not just us, but that you have prepared us to be a representative, to be sent out from this church, having grown up in this church and learning so many things from the people, your people, God. So I thank you for this. I praise your name abundantly, and I pray that we will never forget that you are in control of everything, and that what happens is what you have determined to happen, and that we will have faith in you, that you know what's best. Pray all this in your name. Amen.
Right on, or just let him go.
Are we all ready?